result of this attack. Let's just have a quick word with Yusuf Kalam, who's from Muslim Aid. Plenty of aid charities have suspended their operations as a result of the attack in Gaza. Others, though, Save the Children, Islamic Relief, and indeed Muslim Aid have said they'll continue. Yusuf, hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
Some hours on now from this attack, how are you feeling? How are aid workers feeling in your orbit about the situation now in Gaza?
Firstly, our thoughts and prayers are with the 7 World Central Kitchen staff that have sadly lost their lives, in addition to the 196 aid workers in Palestine and more than 175 UN staff that have also been killed trying to deliver aid. These are the harrowing numbers that are currently taking place inside Gaza. And whilst we understand why some aid agencies now have had to pull away from providing aid, Muslim Aid cannot do that. We've seen the situation. Famine is rife amongst the people of Gaza in places such as Khan Yunis, Gaza City. And there's a real threat that with the ground invasion, Palestinians will be internally displaced as well as pushed out. So there's huge worries there. Muslim Aid's still working in there in very challenging circumstances. The Rafah crossing, as you mentioned, there's 9 hours worth of queues of checks and security checks. And I think the current strategy employed by the Israelis and restrictions is causing blocks for humanitarian aid to be delivered.
Yeah, you've just returned from the Rafah crossing, Yusuf. What are your thoughts about being on the ground there in Gaza, and what do you say to your team on the ground there as well? How on earth do you begin to reassure them in the light of what's happened?
We can't, unfortunately, and these are the real heroes, that they're willing to work in such difficult circumstances because they've seen, many of them are Palestinian themselves. They understand the current situation. They have families inside Gaza, inside Rafah, and they know if this aid is not delivered, that their families and their extended families will perish. This is the reality. From in the Rafah border, and I think some people misunderstand, the Rafah border isn't a commercial entity; it's a pedestrian crossing. And this is another challenge that people face, that we're expecting hundreds of lorries to pass a pedestrian crossing. And even the crossing, once it does take place, the current security checks that the Israelis have put forward is making it very, very challenging for NGOs to work and to operate. They've already, the Israelis already continued to block the United Nations works agency from providing food in northern Gaza, which again is causing further obstructions in terms of delivering aid. And the types of food that we're trying to provide is the basic necessities. We're talking about flour, we're talking about tinned items. These are the essential items that thousands of Palestinians need. Many of them have had to flee on the instructions of the Israeli government to Rafah, and they've sought shelter there. And now being there, looking for food and looking for the basic necessities is not coming through. So more efforts need to be taken from all parties to ensure that food is delivered, and the security of aid agencies is paramount to ensure that we're able to deliver on the behalf of our communities.
Yeah, we've got a minute left, Yusuf. Just on that security point, how reassured do you feel if you have communications at some level with the Israelis, i.e. to tell them where you're going to be or where your convoys will be? How trustworthy are you now of them in light of what happened?
I think the numbers speak for themselves. 196 aid workers have been killed and more than 175 UN staff. These are the harrowing numbers. So we can't really feel confident. We're worried that, anyone that does try and implement food or provide humanitarian support is risking their lives. And, we thank the supporters for trusting us, and we thank these heroes for making their way to provide aid. But every day they do so, they're risking their lives, and they shouldn't have to do so.
It's been good to talk to you. Thanks for being on the programme.
Thank you.
Yusuf Kalam there from Muslim Aid. We're going to talk about this more in the programme as we go along. And BBC Verified